Welcome, everyone. The consciousness of your cells, transforming yourself and the world from the inside out. I'm Steve Farrell, the Worldwide Executive Director for Humanities Team, and I'm here with our special guest, best-selling author and biologist, Bruce H. Lipton, PhD. Bruce, do you want to say hi real quick?
Steve, I'd love to say hi, and I really appreciate everybody out there in the audience because these are the cultural creatives that are looking for the answers necessary to move us from where we are in this chaotic situation into an evolution of creating heaven on earth. That's our destination.
That's our destination. Boy, we're going to go there, and it's not going to be all airy, fairy, fluffy stuff. We're going to be very tangible here. So thank you all for joining Bruce and I. I've got a really exciting program in store. As we get started, I'm going to give Bruce a proper introduction. Bruce H. Lipton, PhD, is an internationally recognized leader in bridging science and spirit, stem cell biologist, best-selling author of The Biology of Belief, and recipient of the 2009 Goy Peace Award. He has been a guest speaker on hundreds of TV and radio shows, as well as keynote presenter for national and international conferences. Dr. Lipton's novel scientific approach transformed his personal life as well. His deepened understanding of cell biology highlighted the mechanisms by which the mind controls bodily functions and implied the existence of an immortal spirit. He applied this science to his personal biology and discovered that his physical well-being improved and the quality and character of his daily life was greatly enhanced. Dr. Lipton has taken his award-winning medical school lectures to the public and is currently a sought-after keynote speaker and workshop presenter. He lectures to conventional and complementary medical professionals and lay audiences about leading-edge science and how it dovetails with mind-body medicine and spiritual principles. He has been heartened by anecdotal reports from hundreds of former audience members who have improved their spiritual, physical, and mental well-being by applying the principles he discusses in his lectures. He is regarded as one of the leading voices of the new biology. And welcome to this program, Bruce. Great to have you with us.
Oh, Steve, thank you. And a special shout out to all those people watching this program, because I know that our future is in their hands, and maybe we can seek that heaven on earth that we've been all looking for. Personally, I found it, and it wasn't an accident, as you mentioned. It was like, there's a science, and it's like, oh my God, there's a practice. So let's get into that.
All right, we are indeed, and yes, heaven on earth. You know what Bruce calls the honeymoon effect, and that's an excellent book of his, by the way, one for the library. If you haven't read it, you should get that book. But we're going to take you through Bruce's science here. Bruce, let's jump in here and get to these topics that we shared. We're going to be key to this hour-long event, and the first question is how to instantly override your negative thoughts before any energy comes to help them manifest.
Well, what we have to understand is this, is that the creation that we call our life is not coming from the outside so much as we're making it from the inside. Just to give a scientific fact before we get this thing off the ground, and this is, to me, most important, and it's because it's not a choice, it's a simple reality, and it is this. Quantum physics since 1925 has acknowledged from the very beginning that the experiences we have on this planet are due to human consciousness. And I go, wow, that's nice. That's almost new agey. I go, well, in 1925, it became the basic principle of quantum physics. And I just want to emphasize this. In today's world, there is no science on this planet Earth with greater truth and validity than quantum physics. Actually, let me read a line here that I have in my head, because it was an article in the journal Nature, most prestigious scientific journal on this planet. It was by a physicist from Johns Hopkins by the name of Richard Conn Henry. And this is just the last sentence. It's like punchline, last sentence, scientific article. The universe is immaterial. It's mental and spiritual. Live and love. And basically, it's like, that's the closing line of a scientific article in the most prestigious journal, and the answer is yes, because that's a valid fact of the science, that there is the world that we see as a tangible world is a creation, and it comes from our consciousness. And I say, why is it relevant? Well, if our consciousness is making the creation, then a change in consciousness by definition changes that creation. I go, absolutely, it does. And there's a biological pathway that's what I recognized in my research about 50 years ago when I was cloning stem cells. And it really revealed that, my God, that whole belief that I was teaching in medical school, which almost all the public has still ingrained in their memory, is that life is controlled by genes. We all learned that. Oh yeah, genes, our heredity controls us. And then I say, when we teach that in a medical school, what's the relevance? And simply says this, is that we say that genes turn on and off, and that your genes control your behavior, your emotions, your physical body. And I go, why is it relevant? Well, we teach also that, hey, these genes came together as a result of fertilization of a sperm and egg. So you didn't pick the genes as far as we know. If you don't like the characteristics, you can't change the genes. And the genes apparently turn on and off on their own. I said, what is the net conclusion of that science in this box? And the answer is, we are victims of our heredity. Point is simple. What does it say? It says that whatever genes you got running in your family, well, this is your future possibility. So your life is almost pre-programmed in your genetics. And then I said, well, that makes you a victim because we didn't pick them, we can't change them, we don't control them. And when we teach people that they're victims, then they become victims. They become powerless because the belief is like, I can't do it because I know I'm a victim. I am powerless and I have to seek health, seek answers, and go outside and somebody will help me. And it's like, no, the new physics, the new biology is coming from the inside going out. Relevance is simply this. You want to change your life, don't wait for the outside to come and change it. It's being created from the inside. You are the creator. It's like, what? And I go, as a conventional biologist, I was teaching the genetic story, which are embryonic cells and have multi-potential. The fate of the cell wasn't determined by the genes. It was determined by the environment in which the cells live. It introduces the fact that our biology and our environment are totally connected in this regard. And I say, why is it relevant? Because if we change our perception of the environment, how we respond to the environment, then by definition, we change our biology. I go, conclusion, simple, hopefully short. Less than 1% of disease on this planet is due to genetics. Bottom line. I say, what do you mean? It's like all of our research dollars are going into genetics. I go, less than 1% is genetics. That the rest of our life is shaped by our consciousness and our response to the environment and our perceptions. I say, why is it relevant? Well, if consciousness, environment, and perception are controlling our lives, we're the ones that control that. And if we change our consciousness, change our perception, then all of a sudden we change our creation. And to me, this is what the public has to know, because the new vision is mastery. If I change my thought, I change my genes. I go, absolutely. It's like, oh my God, then I'm controlling. Absolutely. And this is what the public needs to know, because by being victims, we bought into a world that looks like it's out of control and we have nothing to do with it but respond to a strange, crazy world. And the truth is simply no. If we're not victims, we're creators. What if we change that creation? And then to shorten this 5-minute talk, which is now 25 minutes, into a conclusion is simply this. Just look at it this way. The book, The Honeymoon Effect, describes something that most people on this planet has experienced. I said, what is that? I said, every day your life could suck. Blah, 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 blah life. Every day I come home, blah, 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 blah. And then one day I meet this person, a partner. And he or she is like, oh my God, this is this love I've been looking for. And I go, in 24 hours after meeting this person, my life completely changes. In what way? Well, it sucked every day up until I met them. And 24 hours later, guess what? Heaven on earth. The food's great. The music's great. Even the job that sucked, that's not so bad anymore. I'm in love. I'm blissed out. I'm experiencing heaven on earth. We call it the honeymoon. And I go, in 24 hours, you went from hell on earth to heaven on earth? I go, wow. And here's the answer. Because we now recognize in science in that 24-hour period, we switch the control of our lives from the subconscious, which is controlling it 95% of the time, to the conscious mind. You say, what's the difference? And the issue is most of the programs, 70% that we have downloaded in the subconscious mind, are disempowering, self-sabotaging, and limiting behaviors. So if you're operating from the subconscious, you're already in struggle. I say, what happens when you fall in love? You stop playing the program and you start operating from conscious, creative mind. Being mindful, it's called, okay? I say, why is it relevant? By stopping the program, in 24 hours, your creation went from the blah, blah, blah to heaven on earth. What was the point? It wasn't an accident. You created this. But the honeymoon seems to not always last. And I go, if you understand how to get back and stay in mindfulness, the honeymoon lasts forever. In other words, heaven is not a destination afterlife. Heaven is a present moment. And when you look at the hell around you, it's not because there is hell on the outside, but we've been programmed to accept that. And the moment you let go, when you fell in love, that entire program disappeared. The new program, it wasn't even a program, your hands on the wheel, driving life, creating what you wish and desire, creates heaven on earth honeymoon. Point.
Bruce, let me come in, because this is, you're going right into creating subconscious programming that helps you achieve your goals. You're actually going right into that now, I think.
Yes. You want me to talk about that subconscious program that gets in the way?
Yeah, and how to, programming that will help you, so creating the subconscious programming that helps you achieve your goals. So you're kind of, where we're getting our hands in the clay here with our subconscious programming.
Okay, well, here's what the point comes down to. So an analogy works here very quickly. I get an iPod from the Apple store, it looks like a little iPhone. And on the front is called a touch screen. And the touch screen is where you can make a playlist. You can adjust the EQ, you can rewind, fast forward, you can do all the creative adjustments. So touchscreen is creative. I make a playlist, I can create. I say, so I get a brand new iPod, take it out of the box, I push play on the touchscreen, and nothing happens. Being the old dinosaur that I am, I'm like, oh my God, I just spent all this money and the stupid thing isn't working. And then some little 7-year-old kid comes up to me and goes, hey, mister, you didn't download any music, you can't play any music. I go, what? First, you have to download the programs. Then you can become creative. In other words, if there's no memory in the iPod, and I push play, what's it going to play? Nothing. So first I have to put the programs in. And then once the programs are in there, then I can use the programs and create a playlist. The mind is exactly in the same regard. The conscious mind is the touchscreen. Creative, I can make any darn thing I want. Heaven on earth, hell on earth, that's my creative nature. I say, yeah, but if I don't have any programs, I can't create anything. So where did I get programs from to be the creator? And the answer is, the first 7 years of your life, your subconscious is in a functioning at what is called theta, a vibration, a brain vibration. I say, oh, put wires on your head. It's called EEG, electroencephalograph. And you could read your brain activity. And consciousness is a higher vibration. And theta is a lower vibration. Theta hypnosis is below consciousness. So why is it relevant? A child between birth and 7 is, the brain is not even in consciousness. It's in theta. A child is downloading programs for 7 years. And then what? Once the programs are in, at age 7, consciousness steps in and says, well, let me run my life. And what does it start with? What are the programs? And we start running from these programs. But as we age, we can change the programs. As we age, we can create new programs. But if you don't do that, then you're going to live off the existing programs, and your life turns out to be 95% coming from the programs. And just to let people know, oh, that's like, oh, new science. I go, well, basically, yes, it's a new science of how the brain operates and creating programs. I go, but the idea, the knowledge of it has been around for 400 years. What? I say, the Jesuits for 400 years have said, give me a child until it is 7 and I will show you the man. I say, yeah, they've been saying that. What does it mean? I say, if you educate the child with programs in the first 7 years, 95% of that individual's life is going to come directly from the program. So they will become the program. I go, oh, so whatever education we acquire in the first 7 years shapes the rest of our lives. I go, yes, until you stop playing the program. And that's what happened at the honeymoon. Your life was a program, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't great because we got bad programs. And then all of a sudden, heaven on earth, I say, what happened? You stopped playing the program. And the moment you stop playing the program, then you became the creator and you created heaven on earth. I go, that was available every day for your whole life in the first place. It was the damn programs that got in the way. And so the issue is we can change those programs. And then, of course, the big question comes up is like, well, hey, I was being programmed actually from the last trimester of pregnancy. I was already being programmed. Think about it this way. If a pregnant mother is playing music to the fetus and plays that same music over and over again, the moment the baby is born, the moment it comes out of the birth canal, if it hears that music, the baby's attention will be drawn right to the music. Why? It already learned the music before it was born. For the last trimester was also shaping behavior that we're going to express. And then for the first 7 years, we download, the brain being in theta, hypnosis downloads other people's behaviors because that's how we learn. How do I know how to behave? Well, I'll watch my father, I'll watch my mother, and they'll instruct me. If I do something wrong, they'll tell me. So how do I behave? I record their behaviors. I go, why is it relevant? Well, then the fundamental programs in your subconscious mind, they didn't come from you. They're copied from other people. I go, well, why is it relevant? Because other people have problems and other people don't have the same wishes and desires. I say, why is it relevant? Well, if you're going to play their program and they don't have the same wish and desire as you want, that program will never get you there. And then if you're going to play that program, it turns out 95% of your life is going to come from that program. So all of a sudden you realize, oh my God, I'm creating a life, not even using my wishes and desires. I'm creating a life I'm programmed. And just to help people get in here, because I don't need you to go to some psychologist or psychiatrist and cry your eyes out for 20 or 30 sessions while you try to figure out what the program is. Let's make it real fast and easy. 95% of your life is coming from the program right now. I say, why is it relevant? I say, then look at your life. Why? It's a printout of your program. 95% of everything that's happening is coming from your program. I say, why is it relevant? Well, if your life is a printout of your program, then you know what your programs are. Meaning what? Simple. The things
Bruce, because this is you're going straight into the third one here, which is how to gain control over the power of your mind to both heal and create disease. So power of your mind to not create disease and of course to heal. We talked about this one in the green room before coming on, but I think you're going straight into it, and I thought I'd just frame that.
Let's back up, because you just said something very important that I think we should emphasize before going to the next level, and that is the power of the mind in creating life. And I go, my thoughts are creating life. I said, number one, that's the first understanding in quantum physics. And then you say, yeah, but what about my own life? Can I demonstrate that my thoughts are creating my life? I go, absolutely. It's called the placebo effect. What's the placebo effect? Well, you have a certain illness and the doctor shows up with a pill and says, look, this is the newest, greatest, hey, it's purple. That's how good this pill is, purple pill. I go, oh, that's got to be the one. And the doctor says, that's the one that's going to heal you. And you take this pill and sure enough, you get healed and you get so excited. And you go back to the doctor and the doctor says, oh yeah, well, that was a sugar pill. I go, a sugar pill healed me? I go, the notion of the pill healed you. The sugar did nothing. I said, then where the heck did the healing come from? Your mind had a picture. If I take this pill, I take the pill, boom, the image manifests. What was the point? The pill didn't do it. It was the thought. It's called placebo. Everybody goes, oh yeah, okay. Positive thinking creates a positive outcome. I go, oh, that's the story of life. But here's what people have left out. And without this little piece, the story is distorted. I go, what's the piece? I say, placebo is a result of a positive thinking, positive outcome. I'm going to get healthy. I'm going to be well. What about a negative thought? Oh my God, a negative thought is equally powerful to a positive thought in creating life. The difference is the positive thought takes you to the destination you want. The negative thought takes you to a destination you don't want. And I say, why is it relevant? They're both derived from thought. Positive or negative was created. The positive one expressed as placebo. The negative thought that generates the problems in your life, from disease to bad relationships to lousy programming of your job, whatever. Where did the negative stuff come from in your life? And the answer is you have negative programs. And you're manifesting them. It's called nocebo in science. I say, why is it relevant? It's the power of thinking that controls your life, positive or negative. It's just that's the direction of the result. Positive takes me to healing, negative takes me to disease. I say, what's the point? It all stemmed from thinking in the first place. And that thinking then comes from the mind. And then here, the problem we were just getting into is 95% of the expression of our life is coming from the program part of the mind, subconscious. And I say, well, so why is it relevant? I say, well, I look at my life, it's a creation of my program. And I go, well, then it's a printout. And I go, yeah. I said, what is my program? I go, well, look at your life. Simple point. The things you like and enjoy that come into your life, the only reason they come into your life is you have a program to expect and see them. In contrast, everything in your life, and this is the bottom line, that you put a lot of effort into making something happen. You have to work hard. You have to sweat over. I'm struggling to make this happen. I'm working so hard. I go, why are you working so hard? And the answer turns out to be simply this. Whatever that destination is you're looking for and you're working so hard, it's not supported by the subconscious. So when you're struggling to manifest what you want, it's not a struggle between you and the outside world. It's a struggle between you and your inside program. And so it's just a circle going on in here. My life is not great. Am I a victim? I go, no, you're a creator. Oh my God. I say, why is it relevant? Well, we easily accept placebo. I created health. I go, and the disease and the negative part? Oh, no, I'm not responsible. I go, no, same thing as placebo, opposite direction, nocebo. Your disease, your struggle, whatever it is, I didn't do it. The universe did this. And I go, why is this relevant? Because if you say you have no power over it, then you have no power over it. That's your belief. I'm a victim. And we program people to be victims. And
Bruce, you're coming straight into now this fourth one, where this, which is to overcome hereditary and developmental programming that can create a lineage of disease. Which this is so important because you were talking, you're coming right into it now. But I think there's so many people, aren't there, who feel like, I've been passed down these genes.
Yeah.
I've got this, this mess is mine, and it's something I've got to live with.
Okay, here's the important part. We've been passed down not genes, we've been passed down a program about genes. We've been passed a program that genes turn on and off by themselves, and in that expression, control my life where I had no control. A cancer gene turned on, holy crap, I just got cancer. Oh, I didn't do that, I'm a victim. The genes did that, okay? So number one point, as I think I mentioned, is less than 1% of disease is even connected to genes. So the first thing is, don't focus, I got a gene problem. Only less than 1% of you can legitimately say my life is interfered with by genes. 99% of us came here with a set of genes to have a happy, healthy, loving, wonderful existence. But then where's the health crisis coming from? If we got the right genes, and I go, correction, right here, it's the correction moment. The belief that genes turn on and off and control their expression is entirely false. A gene is a blueprint. It has no on and off. There's no on and off to a blueprint. A gene is a blueprint to make a body part called a protein. The cells are built out of proteins, 100,000 different kinds of parts that assemble, and lo and behold, here's the biology. It came from 100,000 proteins. And I say, well, proteins are complex molecules. How do you make a protein? And they wear out, you got to replace them. I go, oh, DNA is a blueprint to make a protein. Bottom line. I say, why is that relevant? We go into an architect's office. She's working on a blueprint. You lean over her shoulder and say, is your blueprint on or off? She'll look at you like, what are you, crazy? It's a blueprint. There's no on and off. Precisely. A gene is a blueprint. It is not on and off. The old belief called genetic determinism, and they're programmed without you being involved. So your life is almost like a victim of my heredity. Oh my God, there's cancer running on family. Oh my God, I got a cancer gene. Oh, cardiovascular disease, I got a heart attack gene. I got diabetes type 2 gene. It's like, first of all, there is no cancer gene, there is no heart attack gene, and there is no diabetes type 2 gene. All of these are the result of not living in harmony with the planet. Your physical expression is a complement to the way you respond to life. If you live in fear, then you're not going to be healthy. If you live with total optimism, positive thinking, your life is a placebo. What? Heaven on earth, that's a placebo. Well, is that what I want? Oh yeah, I created it. I create placebo. It doesn't have to be just health. It could be life. But it comes from the mind. And why is that relevant? Because if I can change the program, then I can change my life. So here's the point. You got genes. There are blueprints to make the proteins. And the old belief is whatever the gene is, that's your life. This gene, that causes this. That gene causes this. False. Genes are blueprints. Your brain is the contractor. It says, what do you want to use with the blueprints? I say, I want to pull this blueprint up. And I say, oh yeah, but I want to change it a little bit. I'm the architect. I can change it. I can rewrite the blueprint. The blueprint doesn't rewrite the blueprint. The architect rewrites the blueprint. Old story, genes control my life. They're blueprints that I just read and express. New story, I'm an architect. I read the blueprints. I can change the blueprints. And that is why, for a simple point, 90% of cancer has no genetic linkage. Well, wait, 90% of people born with healthy genes should never have cancer. I go, yeah. So where the heck did the cancer come from? The way they were responding to life, they rewrote a healthy gene with a nocebo, negative thought, and created a negative consequence. What was the point? The genes didn't determine my life. My consciousness as the architect has a design, and my life will match the design. Whatever the picture is in my head, my body will become a complement to that. And
so Bruce, I'm going to come in. You actually said this fifth one. You've just started walking in because you brought in the how to attract the honeymoon relationships in every area of your life. You've referred to that a little bit, and this we can just go straight into this one because this is the beautiful one that really speaks to the opportunity here. And I think you've been sharing the importance of really of intentionality and discipline with our minds, but here you really talk about the benefit of what can be created, you know, if we create a process to do so.
Absolutely. And the idea, first of all, I have to own I'm a creator, because if I'm owning I'm a victim, then I'm letting go of creativity, saying whatever's coming in, I have nothing to do with it. It's like, okay, that is disempowering at the highest level, because it says, oh, as a victim, by definition, victim means powerless. And I'm going, you're not powerless, you're creating. If you don't like the life you're creating, well, you're the one that can change it. Nobody else is going to change it unless you are willing to change it. And if you change your thinking, change your programming, you are changing and controlling your life. And so the whole message that we have to get across here is, look at your life. If it's not working right, stop blaming the outside, because that means you have no responsibility. But if I have responsibility, I don't have to get mad at myself for the bad thing, because I also recognize this. I got programs from other people. I've just been playing their programs. So am I guilty for playing their programs? Well, if I didn't know I was playing their programs, how can I be guilty? I just playing the programs because no one told me. But now we're telling. And what are we telling now? And the answer is this. You have programs. They're creating your life. If you don't like the character of your life, you can rewrite the program. I said, well, fine, that's called epigenetics. That's versus genetics. Genetics, blueprint is your life. Epigenetics, your mind is the architect and can rewrite the blueprint, creating every gene, which is a blueprint for a protein. You can create over 3,000 variations of a protein from the same blueprint by changing your perception. And that's why I'm saying, hey, only 1% of the people got here with a gene that would cause a disease. The rest of the disease came from people who got here with normal genes and through architectural rewriting of their belief system, rewrote their genes to make disease. And I said, oh, well, then the disease, I'm not a victim of the disease, I manifested it. And I go, yeah, if you don't own responsibility, here's the problem. You'll never get out of the disease, because the first thing you say, well, I have nothing to do with it. And I go, well, now you've got it forever. You want out, own responsibility that I'm involved. But now that I know, you see, that I think is the hard part. A lot of people say, well, oh my God, I created my cancer. Oh my God, I created this stuff. And I go, people feel guilty. They feel shame. If you tell them, well, that cancer was not an accident, you created that cancer. And they go, oh, I'm so guilty. I have so much shame. I go, no. I need to, these words are very critical. This is another box of critical. It's this. The words shame, blame, guilt, victim, there's a bottom commonality that you have to understand. And that is this, that you are doing what you're doing with knowledge. But I now choose to do it the wrong way. I'm guilty. I know there's a right way, but I decided not to do it that way so you can blame me. I'm a victim. Why? Well, there's a right way, but I'm not using it. Okay, why is it relevant? The words blame, shame, guilt, victim make people afraid to own responsibility, because they don't, oh, I don't want to own that I created my cancer. And I go, those words do not apply, because in the definition of those words, it first implies you had knowledge of how the thing worked, and with that knowledge, you disregarded it and decided to do something different. Now, the word shame, blame, guilt, victim can be applied. But if you have no knowledge and you're ignorant of this whole thing and it's just unfolding, how can you be blamed for that? Nobody even gave you the right information. No one even told you. And so I'm saying you're innocent. So I cannot blame myself for a cancer in the past. Why? Nobody even told me I was involved. If I was involved and I knew it, then I would have been able to avoid it. So we have to own responsibility. But in owning responsibility, recognize what happened in the past. There was no responsibility. Why? Because you had no information of what was right. You were just doing whatever the program was. But guess what? Starting right now, new information. You are creating this. If you don't like it, it's your responsibility to change it. Were you responsible for the past? Nope. That was a program. I didn't know any better. But Bruce just told me the answer, and now I'm responsible. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Bruce, this is a perfect place to come in. Thank you, first of all. The things that we're talking about here, it takes some, there's a map that's needed. There's some work that needs to be done. There's some discipline. There's some intentionality. And I'm going to enter in this, Bruce, I hope you like this. I haven't used this word with you, but there's Sherpas that are needed. That can help our people get to this mountaintop, right, of self-empowerment. And Bruce, you're an incredible Sherpa. So is Greg.
And I love the mountaintop because the view is so much better up there. So let's go up the mountain now.
All right, so let's segue over into, again, thank you so much for just so beautifully sharing this wisdom, which is incredibly powerful. I mean, it just turns everything around.
But also what was missing from this is like, well, how do you apply this science? What'd you learn from the science? What can you do with this science? So there's an application part instead of just listing the facts of science. It's also has the additional of, well, personally, how does this affect us on a personal, how does it affect me on a personal level? How did I come from not being a happy person and looking at this world as a struggle from day to day, going, oh my God, it wasn't a struggle in my career. You see, I had good programming about work and career. And my career worked out really beautiful. I had really bad programming about relationships and family because that's what I downloaded in my own personal family. I am not the only one. The vast majority of us came from programs of limitation and self-sabotage. So I experienced just the result of my life. I'm not happy. I keep trying to pursue happiness, I even let go of love as a concept because I thought after trying it and failing so much, that maybe that's just Hollywood. It's Hollywood. Love is a Hollywood movie. And so I let go going, it's not real. But when I started to apply the science, started to look at my life and look at what was happening in my life on the outside and started to connect it to what the programs were on the inside, all of a sudden I said, wait a minute, I can change this. And that was the part. And there's nobody more happy at that moment for this than this guy sitting right here, taking this knowledge from my conscious creative mind, but making it a program. And then once it became a program, all of a sudden, love was everywhere in my life. Love was everywhere, all kinds, family love, community love, personal love. And it wasn't there until I started to apply science. So what was the point? Is my life an accident, or am I creating it? And the answer is I'm creating it. Using science. And that's the cool part. It's not I didn't come here because I had some spiritual inclination. Matter of fact, as a scientist, I wasn't spiritual at all. It's not necessary in science to talk about spirituality. I got a mechanism, proteins, DNA, molecules, genes, whatever, and I can explain it through that. Do I need to bring in spirit? Nope. So my life was void of spirit. But once I understood the mechanism of how and who I am as compared to my body and what it is, and I started to realize, oh my God, this biology is a virtual reality suit. And my consciousness steps into this suit. I say, for example, it was interesting because I was not a spiritual person. When I saw the mechanism, there was a physical mechanism, which we will talk about, especially in the program, a physical mechanism that downloads a vibration, a transmission. A body analogy, a body is a television set. My spirit is a broadcast. And there are antennas in my body that pick up this broadcast and allow me to play the program. And all of a sudden I started to realize, oh my God, the broadcast is not even in the body. It broadcasts outside the body. Bruce, as a unique identity, is not in the body. You are not in your body. Your identity is a broadcast. First thing that hit me was, I can't die. I'm not even in here. The body dies. So it's like, hey, watching a TV, you're watching a program, television breaks, television's dead. Yep, it's not working anymore. Quick question, is the broadcast still there? Of course it's still there. Get another TV, plug it in, turn it on, tune it to the station, and the show's back online. What's the point? I am a broadcast being picked up by this biological television set. And if I die, the broadcast is still there, body is gone, so you don't see me anymore. I'm not here in that sense. But if an embryo shows up with the same set of what are called self-receptors as I have now, each of us has like a combination lock of self-receptors, a PIN number to get into the body. I have a PIN number different than you have. That's why my consciousness is driving my body and your consciousness is driving your body, and we could be standing right next to each other. It's not the outside, it's the broadcast that's coming in, okay? So I saw the spirituality end of it. And once I saw that, I said, oh my God, I can't die. That was the most important thing that changed my life. Fear of death. We acquired this as infants when we saw your best pet, your goldfish, your dog, or whatever die, and you owned. Oh, we're mortal. We die. And that changes our biology a lot because that puts us on the defensive for the rest of our life, defending. And I realized, you know how much energy that is? If you let go of that fear, there's this bolt of energy that shows up. It's like, oh my God, I got so much energy. I can't believe it. Where was it? It was being used unconsciously to protect my mortality. So that's gone.
Bruce, are there any, are there some powerful invitations or thoughts you want to share with with our viewers today?
Well, I think the most exciting part is that we could take back power and we can create. And we've been doing it. It's just that we've just been creating from bad programs. And for me, that's, as I opened up a long time ago, I said, if you start creating with this, then Earth actually becomes heaven. And I go, what's heaven? I said, well, what's your wish? That's why everybody's heaven is like, well, what do you want for heaven? I always remember the joke as some guy said, oh, heaven is, I can go duck hunting every day and go duck hunting. And then the person said, oh, that must be the duck's version of hell. But the reality is, yes, we are creating this. And the beautiful part about it is that if we start using this for our own creation, the world will change right in front of us, right in your very face. And this is really exciting because this is what we need right now as the world is facing very uncertain times in the future right now. We need our power back. We got here because we gave away our power. But now I don't want to create that way. I say it was interesting because, as I said earlier, I didn't believe in spirituality as a scientist. It wasn't necessary, relevant in any equation, add spirituality. It wasn't necessary. But upon finding it, it was a shock to my system because A, I didn't believe in it. And all of a sudden I was confronted with the reality of it, not through devotion. Oh, I studied for years to become spiritual. No, it's actually, I saw a mechanism of how the membrane was controlling the cell and saw a mechanism of where my identity is picked up by antennas from outside. And it was like, oh my God, I'm not in here. And it was kind of fun because I asked myself a question as a scientist at this moment of owning, okay, I am a spiritual entity as well. Why have spirit and body then? Why not just be the spirit? And I was, to me, it was a very serious question. Why not just be a spirit? And the fun part for me was the answer welled up from inside. I could feel it welling up, coming up to the body, coming up to my head, exploding in my head, the answer. And the answer came from my cells. And the joke about it was, I said, geez, I must have Jewish cells because I asked the question, why have both the spirit and the body, and the cells responded with a question. I said, why have both? And here's what the cell said. Not only were they, responding with a question instead of an answer, but they were kind of funny Jewish cells. What do you mean? I said, why have both a spirit and a body? And the cells well up and the answer comes out, Bruce, if you're just a spirit, what does chocolate taste like? And I stopped at that moment and started to laugh because I realized, oh my God, the profound nature of that answer. And the profound nature is this. Spirit has consciousness, has awareness. Yes, I would like to create this and I would like to create that. And I said, yeah, but what does chocolate taste like? I go, that's not in the spirit field. Chocolate is a manifestation of cells breaking down the chemistry of the chocolate, sending it to the nervous system, translated as a vibration, and then sent back to source. So I was like, oh, wait a minute. Seeing a sunset, tasting chocolate, experiencing love. All of these are the consequence of a biological process in the body with chemistry and with cells and converting it, whatever it is, into a vibration, which is sent back to source. So spirit could say, yeah, I like chocolate. What does it taste like? Spirit, I don't have any idea what chocolate tastes like. Why? You need a body to taste chocolate. And all of a sudden I said, well, wait then. What was the point? And the point was very simply this. Why am I here? And the answer is A, to create, and B, to have experiences that I can send back to source of what that creation physically represents. What does love feel like? I can have a mentation of it, but to feel it, I need this body. And all of a sudden I realized, oh my God, this is where we came to experience life. This is where we came to create life. And since it's up to us what we want to create and what we experience, then the life that I was leading, which was bad programming, shifted to why not create heaven? Why not create the one you want, Lipton, instead of the one you're experiencing? That was the invitation to open up and say, apply the science that you know in your conscious mind to rewrite the programs in your subconscious mind. And that was the key that took me from a victim of the world into a manifester of heaven on earth.
Thank you, viewers, for being here with us.